So highlighting is bringing light to the areas of your face that you want to pop and stand out more. And then contrasting or contouring is where you want to bring more shadows to the part that you want to engrave more and put more definition into and look more, what's the word I'm looking for? Sculpted. That's it, sculpted. So if you'd like to see how I did this and how I achieved this, keep watching because I'm going to show you. So I've already started with my foundation, which is Makeup Forever's Matte Velvet in the number 40. And then I'm going to start to conceal underneath my eyes with the C2P Complexion Corrector. And it's a silky to matte concealer. So pretty much I'm just going to put it underneath my eyes to conceal my dark circles, which it probably doesn't look like I have much on the camera, but I really do. But I'm just going to use it and conceal those spots underneath my eyes so that before I can start highlighting, I don't have to try to cover as much when I'm highlighting. And then what I'm going to do is take a damp beauty blender and I'm going to blend that out to where you can't really see it anymore, get rid of the lines and hide those dark circles. Now I'm going to take my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the color Light to Vanilla, and I'm going to start highlighting my areas of my face that I want to make pop. And so what I'm going to do is make a little triangle underneath my eyes, and then I'm going to drag it down my nose. Well, I do that last, but it goes down the bridge of my nose, on my forehead a little bit, and then I'm going to put it on the sides of my mouth where my two corners of my lips are and drag it out to where my ears are. Then I'm going to put a little bit on my top lip, and then I'm going to also put it on my chin because I want all these areas to stand out and be bright, and so that whenever the light hits it, those areas are brought forward, or whenever there's flash photography, that is bringing light to those areas and making them really, really, really pop. So this can be a little silly looking, especially before you blend it out, but once you blend it out, you won't look as silly, I promise. And so now I'm going to take my damp beauty blender again, and I'm just going to blend that out so it's not little streaky marks all over my face. It's just going to blend everything very smoothly and make it look like it should be and not little concealer all over my face, even though that's what it really is, but you get what I mean. Now I'm going to set this all in with my Lock-It Tattoo Powder Foundation by Kat Von D in the shade Light 49. Most of the time I use a translucent powder on the areas that I put concealer on, and then use this powder all over my face and those other areas. But really this powder is so light because my skin complexion right now is very light that I could really use it, and it's almost like a translucent powder. So I'm just going to use a big fluffy brush and pat that on everywhere that I have everything on. That way it just kind of seals everything in and stays, pretty much highlighted. Now I'm moving on to contouring, and for this I have two products that you can use, the Anastasia Contour Kit, or you can use the Milani Bronzer XL. Most of the time I use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Kit, and this is just a brush that I got in my BoxyCharm box, which is the Luxie 504 large angled brush, and I'm going to dip it in the color that I'm showing now. I'm sorry I don't know the names. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this first color, and it's going to be kind of like my transition color. And so I'm going to place it on my cheek, and I'm going to go to where the center of my eyeball is, and that's where it would stop. And then as you can see, I'm rolling my brush down to find that little dip, and that little dip is where I'm going to start working with, and that's where I'm going to put it in. I'm just going to work it into that little crease, and I'm going to stop right where the center of my pupil is, and then I'm going to do the same for the other side. Now I'm going to take a little bit darker shade and go over and use that more as a sculpting shade. The other color I did more as a transition shade because it helps that color transition better and makes it look more blended and not so cakey when I apply it. And then I'm going to blend it up a little bit so it doesn't look just like a really harsh line. And so basically that's all I'm doing is blending up and down, and then blending up towards it, my eye a little bit, and the upper parts of my face so it doesn't look like just a straight line. Now I'm going to take this center shade because it's not really brown, like it is brown, but it's not like chocolatey. So I'm going to use it, and it's going to be where I contour the tops of my head or face. Pretty much these areas I'm doing at my temple and a little bit down on the end towards my eyebrows, and I'm working it into the very top of my hairline. That way it's casting a shadow on there, making my forehead look a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to blend it out with a fluffy brush so it's not so harsh. Now I'm going to take that same shade and I'm going to do my jawline, so my jawline looks real sculpted and nice and thin and sculpted. I already said that, but most people freak out and are all about the jawline and stuff like that. So that's what I'm just doing, and I'm blending it out to on my neck a little bit and then upwards a little bit so it's not like a line and it doesn't look like I have a foundation line. And then I'm using this little weak brush. It's been torn to shreds, and I'm going to take this banana looking color, and I'm going to sculpt pretty much underneath that for another additional highlight, and it's just going to make that look very vibrant and pop at my cheeks, so my cheeks definitely look more sculpted. And then I'm just going to put it in a little bit of the areas that I highlighted earlier to bring back some of that highlight that got covered up with my powder. Alright, and then now I'm going to take this soft but kind of angled off brush, and I'm going to use it to contour my nose. And for my nose, I'm going to use that same color that I did on my jawline and on the top of my forehead, and I'm going to sculpt out the corners, or not the corners, but the two sides of my nose, so that way that my nose looks slimmer and looks not as poofy, I guess you could say, towards the end, and that way I just have a really defined face, and everything just looks right and sculpted and the way that I like my face to look. Next, I'm going to take the 10 blush palette from Coastal Scents, and I'm going to apply blush to my face, and I'm going to use this really peachy, nice color because I don't want anything too bright, pink or anything, and I'm just going to use a stippling brush, a fluffy one, and just apply that to the apples of my cheeks and work it out to the edges of my cheeks and work it out towards the backer side and kind of blend it into that contour just a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. And then after I do that, I'm going to go back with my fluffy brush and I'm going to blend that out so it doesn't look real harsh and it looks just really almost sun-kissed. Next, I'm going to take this highlighter by Wet n Wild, and it is the Fergie one. It is the Rose Champagne Glow, and what I'm going to do with it is go back over some of the areas, and I'm going to take that really crappy brush again, and I'm going to add just a smidge to the underneath of my cheeks, and then I'm going to add it underneath my eyes and work it up into a C motion, just to highlight underneath my eye a little bit and give it a little glow up there. And then I'm also going to put it on my chin a little bit and on the cupid's bow of my lip and work it down on my nose some and put just a tad bit on my forehead because this is very highlighty and I don't want it to look super shimmery. And then I'm going to take a brush that I got in a kit from Coastal Scents and I'm just going to highlight the underneath of my eyebrows right there on that brow bone so it just makes everything pop very nice and look very highlighted and bring a lift to my eyebrows so they don't look so droopy and brings them out just a little bit. Then I'm also going to add it to the corner of my eyelids and to that inner tear duct to brighten the inners of my eye so that it doesn't look too dull towards the inside, and that is very smoky on the outer corners of my lids and then very bright towards the insides. So that's how I contour and highlight my face, and I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun really doing it because I love contouring and highlighting my face. It's probably my most favorite part of my makeup routine, which is probably weird because you probably think it was like my eyes or something like that, but it's really not. It's contouring and highlighting. I do not leave my house without contouring and highlighting my face. Does not happen. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and to click down below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And okay, and then I'll see y'all next time on my next video. Bye y'all.